Hello, Stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Trey, and today we're going to start a new adventure with a character called Lore of the Silver Hand. An original character, but I want to do a brand new inking. So for the month of October, I was trying to do practice of inking by finding samples of artists I admire and using that as a jumping off point to learn how to ink properly. Outlining spot blacks, which help define the form, and also using correction fluid and microns for details. But to start, we have this Art of Hellboy book, and I really like how Mike Mignola does his inks, but specifically I like these little ink thumbnails that he does that lead to a larger piece. So in this episode, we're going to do a very small, tiny concept. This is the concept video. Get the concept, and then we'll blow that up, and then do some black inking experiments just to see how it looks. And then next week we'll try to get to tight pencils, and the week after that we'll try to get to finals. So it's going to be a 3-video series, trying to put together all the things that I have learned over this month of inking. So let's go. So this Lore of the Silver Hand idea I have started as this small, very tiny, scratchy little thumbnail of Lore standing with a severed hand chained to his neck. Well, on a chain dangling from his neck. That is the initial concept. So I have some studies of Lore of the Silver Hand and these tiny thumbnails that I usually experiment. These are how my drawings usually start. So using these as jump offs, let's start this whole process to try to figure out this illustration. And usually I do tiny thumbnails just to get an idea of, you can figure out in a small form what you want. So I do these small little drawings. They don't have to be anything involved. You're just trying to get out your ideas, and you try as many ideas as you feel that are necessary. And you can try different angles, different sizes, like does it fill the frame? Is it a close-up of a certain area like his face? Is it a half body shot, a full body shot? You can play with perspectives and all of that. But this is just the thumbnailing phase, just to try to get an idea of what you want. But since I kind of already have a kind of sort of idea, it just needs to go through the full process to get to a final. I'm not starting from scratch. I have some ideas, and I really like this full body. I could have done like a half body or 3/4 of a body, but I think a full body will suit this illustration best. So you have your little thumbnail initial concept and some other thumbnails to, get me going, get me started, get the ball rolling, like this small one. I like that full figure standing pose. Now, sometimes what also helps in making illustration is writing out your ideas. So sometimes I have what the title is that can give you a clue about how to frame the thing. And you can write down all the elements that you want in it, or feelings that you want the viewer to have, or feelings that you have about it. Anything that can help you develop or get out your thoughts on what you want for the illustration. Now, doing the list form or just going straight into small thumbnails, you're trying to get out your ideas. Usually the first one isn't the best, but it depends on if you know exactly what you want. Without knowing what you want, it usually goes through more iterations. But I think I kind of know what I want. And so then I do thumbnails as small as possible, rough, dirty. You don't have to be anything special. You're just trying to get your ideas out of your head and onto paper. But also different elements that will be in the image. Like there could be a first primary image, then secondary elements around the main topic to flesh out the idea or the concept. And I can do those also on the same paper just to keep everything neat and tidy in one place. Another element that can be worked out in thumbnail form is how the light is going to affect, or some planning on lighting. So for this one, I'm just doing this rough with like a Sharpie pencil or a Sharpie brush thing. And I want the lighting to be lighter on his upper right side. So his upper right side will be lit and the light will come across his body. And so his shadow side will be on his left side, where he also has his silver hand. And the silver hand will be the lightest part of that shadow side, so that it pops or stands out with all the shadow on the left side, going from shadowy more at the foot, going up, and lighter upper right coming down. So that is my very, very basic lighting scheme. So for this image, I want the secondary image to be a, what would you call it? A relief, a wall sculpture behind the character of a unicorn and a man fighting. And this is pretty much Lore's backstory, being portrayed behind him as art, as a relief behind him. And Lore is a cursed man who fought a unicorn, and that unicorn cursed him. And that would be a telling of his story behind him. And him being the primary, the unicorn battle being the secondary. And then other elements can be a third and maybe a fourth, but I usually try to keep it more simple and generalized so that you know where your primary, secondary, and maybe third concept of the whole illustration is. So now that I know the elements that I want in the piece, I can try something slightly larger, but still will be rough and hastily done, just to get a better idea of what I think I'm going for and seeing if it works. And again, the image doesn't have to look great. This isn't the final. This is just ideas and concept work, where you can play with how you want the figure to look, stand, any elements that you think you can improve. You're just trying things out on a small scale before you go larger. And that includes the figure, the props, images, second, third, and concepts that can surround the image. And in this case, shadow, or where the light is and where the shadows are. Now, the next steps for me is usually I take those thumbnails, I scan that in so that I have a thing to reference from. I take a smaller image, I blow it up slightly, not too big, say on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, print that out, well, after fading it back, making it more transparent so that I can draw on top of it, whether with a pencil or pens, because you're not going for the final piece. You're just trying to work out the logistics of everything. So then I go in with a pencil and I'm working out on a larger scale the image again. And again, this is the final, but you can have the props or reference images on the side. Like I have a better drawing of Lore. It doesn't look exactly how I want it in the smaller drawing, but I'm just trying to keep myself somewhere in line with what I want to go for. And I'm working up how the main primary character looks, and thinking about the ideas to arrange around him. Then lastly, for this week, is the ink composition or ink concept that we're working for. I printed it out, and then I was using markers to do some of the dark, but I didn't quite like that, so I put that back in computer, and now I'm doing in Clip Studio Paint. I'm using the inks to just get an idea of where my darks will be. I haven't refined the characters or the secondary and third objects to go around, but I have enough that I can start to plan out where my dark's going to be, how does the composition look with those darks? How does it all read together? Is there any confusion that I have? Because if I have confusion, then the audience will have confusion. And I try to work out all of that in this small scale just to get an idea of, is it too heavy on one side? Because it might be on this, the cursed unicorn side. Do I need elements to balance it out? I'm thinking of a mound of skulls. Would that mound of skulls be, you could probably do 3 or so and then have the rest inferred or just an impression of those. And all the little bits that could possibly be in this thing, I try to work that out just to get an idea. This is all part of the concept. We're trying to get it all to work and mesh together in a way that is fairly coherent for myself, and also having fun with it, because once I start to get bored, then I know it's a wash, because then I probably figure the audience will be bored. So if you make it interesting for yourself and you're having fun with it and you're trying things and experimenting, and it's practice, and working all of this out is rather fun. You're like, okay, so, and you can kind of see the thing taking shape in my mind. And that's always a great feeling, where it's like, okay, I think I'm on the right path. I need touch-ups and modifications. And things will move and shift, but overall, is it overall working for me? And then we'll break it down into the finer bits when we do another drawing phase to flesh out the characters and the props and all of everything else around it, and then put those things back together. So again, it's all process. It's all building and working. Nothing in art is just, hey, it just hops out fully formed. It's work to get to that final image. And this is me working through my concepting to get to that final image and trying to get better. And so this is what we have for a final ink concept. And that will end this week's concept work. Next week, we will try to get to a tight pencil version. So I will see you then. I am Trey Hodges. You can find my work at treyhodges.com, and I will see you next week. Take care and keep shining.